We want to welcome you to the weekly women's sports report presented by Fordham Distillery and Bet Online, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports contest events with the first to market odds and lines. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information from live in-game betting, props, and futures. So head on over to Bet Online or use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BLEAV50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online where the game starts, and we go to the Camelot Exteriors hotline to bring on the Arkansas Gymnastics head coach, Jordyn Wieber. You recently had your inter-squad scrimmage, another year 4. Thank you again for coming on with us and just sharing your time.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Happy to be back on here.
So talk about, how the scrimmage went. It's really a showcase for the fans to really look at this year's squad, and we have some new faces, some returners. So, what was some of the takeaways from there, and also, the turnout that showed up and showed out for your scrimmage?
Yeah, well, we called it the Gym Back Preview, and to be honest, it was really exciting to be able to have that event because due to COVID the last couple of years, we haven't been allowed to have any additional events other than our competition. So it serves many purposes. Obviously, it's exciting for us to be able to practice our routines in front of some fans, and, being in front of a crowd in a competition arena adds a little extra element of possible nerves, but adrenaline. And it's really difficult for us to simulate that in practice, as many athletes will probably tell you. So that's the first thing, is getting the athletes out there to be able to get some good routines hit under their belts. It was great for the fans to be able to come in there. We had, I think, almost 1,000 people, and it felt like 4,000 people. Just the energy was incredible. We did an autograph signing after the event for the fans. So just they got to preview the team and kind of see who's going to be big players this year, and watch some great gymnastics. So it was great. I was actually really pleased with the team's performance. Obviously, we had a couple of mistakes here and there, which is to be expected in a preseason inter squad. But overall, it was really not surprised, but really pleasantly just happy with the team, and just their hard work is paying off, and they're getting really prepared for season.
And being blessed with the fans showing up in Barn Hill. And then, of course, we'll talk about your meets coming up in Bud Walton. How does that prepare you for when you go to these road meets, especially in the SEC, where you have sometimes upwards of 5,000-6,000 people? So how does being able to prepare at home help you out when you go on the road to some of these SEC venues?
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, a balance beam is only 4 inches wide and it's 4 feet off the ground. Imagine that 10,000 people are staring at you performing your routine. I mean, that just gives you a little bit of an idea of what the pressure is like for these athletes. And it's our job as coaches to prepare them to be able to handle that pressure and just be so fierce and so in the zone. And so we try to throw some different challenges at them, both in practice and at an inter squad like the Gym Back Preview, and see how they handle those nerves. And part of it is just experiencing it, getting used to it. And the other part of it is us evaluating, which athletes seem to handle that pressure better. Maybe they're going to be ones we want to rely on in our top 6 lineup, which is how many we get to compete on every event. So it's a good indicator for us coaches to know, okay, who's reliable, who's fierce, who's ready, not just physically, but also mentally. So that was a great test for the athletes as well.
And for the people who are not really familiar with gymnastics, it's not like, football, basketball, baseball, where your coaches are grading you on your performance. You're getting judged on the technicality, and people see the spins and the lands. But tell the fans who are listening and watching, exactly what is a judge looking for. What do they get deducted for when they're doing the vaults and the beams and the floor exercises that can really help them know what to look forward to when they see a score and they're like, well, what did they take points off?
Yeah. So every routine, we construct each athlete's routine to be able to have a 10-0 start value, which means that when a judge is watching the routine, they're starting from a 10 and subtracting from there. And really what they're looking for is execution. And in gymnastics, things like pointed toes, straight knees, a wobble on beam is a deduction. any landings, steps on the landings or hops, extra things like that are all going to be execution deductions. So college gymnastics is all about striving for perfection. And I love that about our sport. It really challenges our athletes because under the most amount of pressure, you got to be able to perform at your best with little to no mistakes. But really the judges are looking for execution. They're looking for big, beautiful gymnastics that has amplitude, that's dynamic. And on an event like the floor exercise, they're really looking for musicality, performance quality, full splits on their leap passes. There's 1,000 different things, and that's what we work so hard for every day in the gym. But it's really all about striving for perfection, which is, like you said, very different from other sports where you're often focusing on defense or offense, and in gymnastics it's a little more individual in that way where it's just you on that equipment, and it's really all about having that mental toughness and handling the pressure.
And on your staff, you had the I guess being able to add some core elements to your coaching staff, people you're very familiar with, especially with the addition of Ross. So what has she really helped bring to your team when it comes to really learning gymnastics on an Olympic level and an elite status, with both of y'all, going to the prestigious UCLA? How does that, alongside you and your support staff, really help prepare these girls to know that, all right, this is what it's like to compete at the highest level?
Yeah. Well, I think, us having the first ever coaching staff of all Olympians, I mean, you can imagine just the experience that we have, being able to handle that amount of pressure and compete on the biggest stage that exists in sports, in the Olympics. We've lived that lifestyle. We've put in the work and the training. We know how difficult it is. So a lot of it is being able to speak from experience. But when you talk about specifically a coach like Kyla, I'm pretty sure the first ever athlete to win both an Olympic, a world, and an NCAA championship. It's called the trifecta. So she's done it, and she's, like I said, lived that lifestyle. And when the athletes listen to her, they're really listening. They're really taking in what she's saying. And it's like she's coaching beam for us right now. And we had an inter squad on Saturday, and I told the team after they were done, I'm pretty positive we have potential to be one of the best beam teams in the whole country. And I think a lot of that is due to just Kyla's great coaching style, and she's so positive, but she speaks from a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom.
And another thing, we're talking about the judging, but also, to the fans, the team as a whole could lose a meet, but yet you're looking at improving on all aspects, your vault, your beam, your floor, and your uneven bar. So also another thing we can explain to the fans watching and listening is, just because you might lose as a team, but you're looking at individual scores getting better. You're looking at those teams and the vaults and getting better each meet. So kind of explain how that part of it works. And in the end, the team and individuals moving on to postseason.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. We always love winning, and winning is so much fun. But you're right. Our sport in NCAA is our qualification into postseason is not based off of wins and losses. It's really about taking our highest team scores throughout the season. So we might compete against a team like Florida, who's a fantastic team, really competitive. We might have our best meet of the whole season and still lose. But if we get that 197 plus score, that's going to really, really help us get a great seeding into the postseason. So really what we're focused on is that team score. Like I said, we love winning. We love beating, especially some of those other SEC teams, but we're really focused on getting better each and every week and really improving that team score and being in that 197 plus range every week.
And don't get me wrong, I know the calculations on your beams. I think you really want to go with a 49.5. Is that what score? And I think you did that almost every meet that what you're trying to. So if you are improving on that, that bodes well for your team, because you were already making high marks on your beam last season. So, and Coach Ross had a lot of impact on that as well. Talk about your roster, your returners, and of course, adding Nora Flatley, the All-American from UCLA. I really wanted to ask, do you think coming in to a program like Arkansas, is there just as much pressure coming into a program that's not as prestigious and having all the eyes on you because you're from UCLA? Or do you think there was more pressure where she was at UCLA, where you are at that program? I mean, what do you think it's better on her? I mean, what have you seen from her this year?
Yeah, I've not asked her that specific question, but I do know that one of the reasons she transferred to Arkansas of many is she was looking for the environment that was right for her. And we had so many conversations in the recruiting process about what she needed in her last final year of gymnastics. She's been through a lot in her whole career, starting from elite gymnastics, and really what Nora needed for this last year was an environment that was really incredibly supportive, but also competitive. She is such a competitor. She loves to compete, and but she also needs to be guided. And she's one of those athletes that just will go if you don't hold her back. And so she needs a coaching staff that will protect her, and really we've really made a strategic plan to help keep her body healthy. As a fifth year athlete, she's at the tail end of her career, and her body's been through it just as our other fifth years have as well. So I do know a big reason why she chose Arkansas was for that environment we can provide to her. I think she probably feels similar pressure wherever she's competing, because she carries the name of Nora Flatley, but I do know she's really enjoying being a leader for this team. The other athletes on the team are learning so much from her every single day. And that's really, really cool to see. And I think she's having the mindset of no regrets this year. And let me do everything I can to be not just the best competitor, but the best teammate, the best leader, and the best person I can be.
And you combine that with Kennedy and Jensen, and then also you had Bailey, the graduates, and the Kennedy and Bailey in particular deciding to come back. How big is that going to help, along with Nora, this having all those veterans when it comes to this team this year? And of course, you being a coach, you coached Kennedy and Bailey their whole career. So of course, what does it mean for you when they decided they were going to come back for one more year?
Yeah, I was thrilled. I mean, it says a lot about just how much they love the sport and love competing, to get this one last year and say, yeah, without a doubt, I'm taking it because I want to be here and competing for the University of Arkansas. It says a lot about, our school and our program that they wanted to do this extra year. It's not been easy for any of them. Like I said, being a fifth year is hard just because you've been competing for a long time. The year is strenuous. So it says a lot about them and their love for the sport. I'm really excited to see what they do in their final season, but just incredible leadership, especially gymnastically from Bailey and Kennedy. I know what they're capable of out there, and we've talked a lot with both of them about what is it going to take for you to reach your potential for this last year? Not just get through the year, but really reach your potential and strive for excellence and greatness in every single chance we get to go out there and compete. So they're excited. They're so fired up. They want this team to be successful so bad. And having Nora, Bailey, and Kennedy at the forefront leading with that mindset has been huge. And I've never seen a team here in these last 4 years just so motivated by their goals and excited for the competition season.
And how much does that benefit you being a head coach, building the program, continue knowing that, you have collegiate and then Olympic trials and Olympic competition. There's no WNBA for the gymnastics. So, I mean, how does that benefit you when it comes to these kids having that passion for gymnastics, knowing that there's not much more that they can do when it comes to progressing to the next level?
Yeah, it's one of those weird things about our sport that this is usually their last stop instead of their first stop. But you really have to have that love and enjoyment for the process of the sport in order to be successful as a gymnast. It is, I know they make it look easy on TV and they make it look very graceful, but the day-to-day is such a grind. They work so hard. I mean, if you saw the conditioning that they do every day, they're up in the weight room lifting, they're swimming, that's all on top of training their routines. And just, think about tumbling and landing with full force on the floor. It's a hard sport to not love it. And so, we do our very best as coaches of this program to make sure we have a really great, fun environment, but it's also an environment where we're there to work. We're there to put our heads down and just grind it out. And I think we've done a really great job of accomplishing both things. You know, you walk into our practice, we start at 8 a.m. every day. The athletes roll in at 7:30, and they're like blasting the music, they're laughing, they're excited, they're motivated. And I think that's a great sign of good culture, is that they want to be there at 8 a.m. practicing every single morning before they have to go to school as well. So I'm pretty proud of that.
And we had Coach Harper on with the swim, and what you're mentioning, I see so many similarities in what you're talking about, the grind, and what really amazed me is how fit, you know, when you're going swimming. And of course, the same thing with gymnastics. And he was talking about the nutritional program there at Arkansas. And I know that has to benefit you as a head coach and benefit the athletes of knowing they can go out there and give it their all, and then know that they have a nutritional program that can really keep them competing at the highest level. And another thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to, I mean, other than soccer, I think it's statistically, you know, gymnastics, one of the highest injury rates, you know, because you're doing the twists and the turns. And so how much does that play into a thought process of really trying to keep these girls healthy throughout the year?
Yeah, I mean, I would say nutrition is just as important as something like strength and conditioning. You know, we talk about it all the time as coaches because it impacted our careers, just how much we had to focus on fueling and making sure we're getting the right things to eat so that we have energy that's sustained. And we've got a great dietitian. We've got the Jones Center with, you know, really great options for athletes. That helps a ton. I think our athletes feel really supported. You know, at the end of the day, it's on them to say, you know what, this is something that I got to take ownership of. And if I want to be the best athlete I can be, I got to take advantage of the resources. But we've got great resources here at Arkansas. And, you know, just especially with nutrition, they've got really good support. And it's one of those things, I think I don't know an exact percentage, but if I had to just guess, I would say it's about 30% of being a gymnast is focusing on what you eat, what you're putting in your body. And it's, like I said, just as important as something like your strength and conditioning and also practicing your skills.
And another thing, like we talked about earlier with the fans, and another, getting to compete at Bud Walton Arena and doing it, being able to do it once, and then having such a good turnout, you get to do it twice this year. What was that environment like, and how excited were you looking forward to this year, knowing that you get to have multiple meets inside Bud Walton?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was awesome. That was something that I had in the back of my mind since I got here. Obviously we got stalled a little bit with COVID and just some other elements, but you know, Hunter had been on board with that opportunity from the moment I got here. And I'm really just grateful for that. And I'm just so excited for our program and our team that they get the opportunity to be on that type of a stage. I mean, Bud Walton Arena is incredibly historic and it seats 19,000 people. I mean, that's huge. And for them to pack that thing with 10,000 fans says a lot about just our fan base and the support that we have, not just from the athletic department, but across the whole community. And after it was over and it was a huge success, you know, in my end of the year meeting with Hunter, I actually asked for three meets, probably knowing that I would get two. I'm like, you know, I'm just going to ask, and asked for three, got two, which is awesome as well. And we're going to continue to keep marketing and promoting attendance and getting that fan base built up. So hopefully in the future, that can be our venue full time. That would be the dream, I think, for me in this program.
And we'll end it on this, you know, and when we had you on your first year, we talked about your women's empowerment meet and just everything that every program at the University of Arkansas on the women's side, and being able to see how far you've come with your program and the softball program, soccer program, women's basketball, looking back now on how far your programs came, and then women's, you know, programs in general. What do you take away from these 4 years that you've seen with the progress of how University of Arkansas treats their women's programs just as much as any other school in the country?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, I always have the philosophy as a coach that if there's a way we can make it about something bigger than just gymnastics, then we should do that. We have this platform. We have all these incredible opportunities. We're having a gymnastics meet. Why not honor empowering women in our lives and in the world. And that's kind of the perspective I've always had as a coach, and for our marketing staff and our administration to just be so on board with that. And then for other sports to say, hey, we want to do that too. And it takes extra effort. It takes a lot of extra planning and creativity. But for us to be able to not only just have events with themes like that to represent something bigger than ourselves and gymnastics, and then for the fans to get to be on board with it and experience it and be involved and engaged with it, it's really, really incredible. And it makes you sit back and go, wow, how cool is it that this is my job, that I get to do this. And it's so much bigger than just gymnastics. And what a great life lesson for our athletes, and for them to take into their lives.
Well, that's what I was going to mention real quick, is just when you stepped out on Bud Walton Arena and you seen the 10,000 and you still have to like coach. I mean, how much of that did you really try to sink in before you're like, all right, I got to meet the coach? I mean, just how amazing was it? And then, I mean, just the thought of they showed up for you and your squad.
Yeah, it was an incredible feeling. I'm not going to lie. When we're warming up and I'm sitting there, I was thinking to myself, I have zero clue how many people are going to show up. It could be 1,000. It could be 15,000. I never know until I come out of the locker room with the team and look up and just, wow, I was just so excited for our athletes. I mean, at the end of the day, they're the ones drawing the crowd. They're the ones performing and making their community and their university proud. So I'm just so pumped for them. And I hope people just in this community continue to just show up for them and see just how amazing these athletes are and just how much pride and excitement they have for what they do and who they represent in this school. So I hope that the fans continue to show up and support our athletes.
Well, I have a special fan. She's watching all the way in South Carolina tonight. My niece, she has been a huge fan of yours forever. And I told her husband that I was going to have you on tonight. And she was very ecstatic. Elizabeth was, she's tuning in from South Carolina. So she definitely wanted me to tell you hello.
Oh, that's awesome. Hi, Elizabeth.
So, but again, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck this year. Can't wait. I'm definitely going to try to get one of those Bud Walton meets and catch the team this year. But good luck this year and hope everything goes well. No injuries this year.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll do our best.
Well, that will do it for this episode of the Weekly Women's Sports Report presented by Fordham Distillery and Bet Online. We will catch you on Sunday.